Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Second chapter is start. Unit 2, electricity of a demand. See, index, objectives 2.5, introduction and subject description 2.2, elasticity of demand and concept. 2.2, types of elasticity of demand and method of measuring an elasticity of demand. Advertisement and elasticity of demand and determines of elasticity of demand. 2.2, importance of elasticity of demand. Words and their meanings. Answers to questions for self-study and summary and exercise and feedback. Objectives, the following objective will be achieved after studying and this unit. And the meaning of elasticity of demand and will be explained. It is possible to measure and the response of the goals and if the price of that good is changed. It is possible and to measure and the response of a good if the income of a consumer of a society is changed. It is possible to judge on the effects of the on the quantitative demand and for a good if the price of a substitute is changed. To understand the usefulness of the concept of elasticity and to the head of a family and to plan the expenditures on version varies good and to seller and to determine price of a good and to the government to levy taxes. See, introductions. Uh, in the first unit, we have understand the concept of a demand and the relations between price and demand and a relation between demand and for factors other than price. On the basis of it, price of a commodity, income of a persons or households, changes in the price of a substitute and a complementary goods affect demand and to change in explained, but how much the demand changes as a consequences of price of a good changes in the price of a substitute or complementary good is not known by the law of demand and the quantity on the basic of it on the basic of it, price of a commodity and income or a person or a household changes in the price of a substitute and a complementary goods affect demand to change in a explained, but how much the demand changes as a consequences of price of a good and changes in the price of a substitute of a complementary good is not known by the law of demand and the quantity demanded for kerosene and television sets will fall rise due to 10% increase decrease in price of a kerosene and a television, but the quantity demanded will be different in both and the cases. Therefore, it is the concept of a elasticity which is useful and to understand with the reality. How will be the reductions in a quantity demanded if the price of good is increased? How much will be the quantity demanded if the income rise by 10% and the price demand stable? If the price of Due rises and from rupees 4 kg and to rupees 5 kg, and if the price of the sugar remains the same, what will be impact on the demand on sugar and to what extent? And the answers to these questions can be found in the concept of a elasticity. Subject description, the use of a measuring demand is useful to solve many problems of human beings. And what will be impact on the demand if a railway fare is a high? What will be quantity demanded if the price of a handloom cloth is reduced, or to what extent the power supply board can meet its deficit if it increases its tariff? The answers to all there. See in the introduction, in the first unit, and we have understood the concept of demand and the relation between price and demand, and a relation between demand and factors other than price. See, in the first unit, and we have understood and the concept of a demand, the relation between price and demand, and relation between demand and factors other than price. On the basis of which price of a commodity, income of a person or a household changes in the price of a substitute and a complementary. Knowing language, please. Goods affect the demand to change in a explained, but how much the demand changes as a consequences of a price of a good changes in the price of a substitute or a complementary good is not known by the law of demand. The quantity demanded for kerosene and a television sets will fall rise due to 10% increase in a price of kerosene and a television, but the quantity demanded will be different in which both the cases, and therefore it is the concept of a elasticity which is useful to understand this reality. How much will be the reductions in a quantity demanded if the price of a good is increased? How much will be quantity demanded if the income rise by 10% and the price remains stable? If the price of a good and rises from rupees 4 kg to 5 kg, and if the price of a sugar remains and the same, what will be impact on the demand of sugar and what extent question mark these two, and the answers to these questions can be found in the concept of a elasticity. Subject description 2.2. You see, the use of a measuring demand is useful and to solve many problems of a human beings. What will be impact on the demand if a railway fare is a high, and what will be quantity demanded question mark if the price of a handloom cloth is reduced, or to what extent the power supply and board can meet its the defect to if it increases this tariff, and the answers to all there. See, पुरवठा व बाजारातील परिस्थिती असं दुसऱ्या चॅप्टरचं नाव आहे. पहिलं काय तर घटक 1 उत्पादन परिव्यय, घटक 2 उत्पादन परिव्यय आणि उत्पादन, घटक 2 ना नफा ना तोटा उत्पादन बिंदू, आणि घटक 3 पुरवठ्याची लवचिकता फ्लेक्झिबिलिटी. भाग 2 घटक 1 मूलभूत संकल्पना मेन डेफिनेशन, घटक 1 पूर्ण स्पर्धेतील किंमत निर्धारण, घटक 2 एकाधिकार आणि घटक 2 एकाधिकार युक्त स्पर्धा, घटक 3 अल्पजनाधिकार आणि घटक 3 किंमत निर्धारणाच्या पद्धती. घटक 1 मागणीतील बदल आणि मागणी सिद्धांत. अनुक्रमणिका आपण बघतोय. उद्दिष्टे आणि प्रस्ताविक आणि विषय विवेचन, मागणीतील बदल, किंमत व उत्पन्न यातील बदलांचे मागणी विरुद्ध वरील परिणाम आणि मागणी सिद्धांतामागील 2 आधारभूत दृष्टिकोन, उपभोक्त्यांचे संतोषाधिक्य, पारिभाषिक शब्द आणि शब्दार्थ इत्यादी, स्वयंअध्ययन प्रश्नांची उत्तरे, सारांश आणि सरावासाठी स्वाध्याय, क्षेत्रीय कार्य आणि अधिक वाचनासाठी पुस्तके. उद्दिष्ट काय आहे? या घटकाच्या अध्ययनानंतर आपल्याला मागणीमध्ये होणारे बदल याचा अर्थ स्पष्ट होईल. मागणीचा विस्तार आणि संकोच आणि मागणीतील वाढ, घट या शब्द प्रयोगामधील भेद लक्षात येईल. मागणीचा विस्तार आणि संकोच आणि मागणीतील वाढ आणि घट या संकल्पना अनेक रूपाने कशा व्यक्त केल्या जातात याचा परिचय होईल. किंमत आणि उत्पन्न यामधील बदलांचे वस्तूच्या मागणीवर नेमके कोणते परिणाम होतात हे समजेल आणि मागणीच्या सिद्धांतामागील 2 ठळक आधारभूत दृष्टिकोनाचा आशय लक्षात येईल आणि त्यामुळे ग्राहकांच्या वर्तनामागील प्रेरणा व त्यांचा प्रभाव यांच्या अभ्यासाला मदत होईल. उपभोक्त्याचे संतोषाधिक्य या संकल्पनेचा अर्थ, मापन आणि महत्व समजेल. आता प्रास्ताविक आपण काय घेणार आहोत बघा. मागणी ही संकल्पना अर्थशास्त्रीय विवेचनामध्ये कोणत्या अर्थाने वापरली जाते हे आता आपल्याला समजले आणि वस्तूला असणारी वैयक्तिक मागणी आणि बाजारातील मागणी यामधील संबंध कोणता आणि मागणी अनुसूचीच्या साहाय्याने कसा सुलभतेने दाखविता येतो हे आपण पाहिले. आणि त्याचबरोबर उत्पादनाच्या निविष्ठांनी येणारी मागणी त्यांच्या साहाय्याने उत्पादित केल्या जाणाऱ्या वस्तूच्या मागणीशी कशी निगडीत असते हे आपल्या ध्यानात आले. एक सार्वत्रिक प्रवृत्ती म्हणून आढळणाऱ्या मागणीच्या सिद्धांताची उभारणी या पार्श्वभूमीवर करण्यात आलेली आहे. अर्थशास्त्रातील मागणीच्या सिद्धांतामागे कोणते आधारभूत दृष्टिकोन आहेत, त्याचे स्वरूप काय आहे, याचा तपशिलाने विचार आपण या घटकामध्ये करणार आहोत. किंमत आणि उत्पन्न यातील बदलांचे मागणीवर कोणते परिणाम होतात, येथून आपल्याला प्रारंभ करता येईल. विषय विवेचन काय आहे? कोणत्याही वस्तूच्या मागणीमध्ये, मग ती वैयक्तिक असो किंवा बाजारातील असो, बदल होत राहतात आणि या बदलामागे विविध कारणे असतात. या कारणांचे अर्थशास्त्राच्या अभ्यासामध्ये दोन गट पाडले जातात. पहिल्या गटामध्ये संबंधित वस्तूची किंमत व तिच्यामध्ये होणारे बदल या घटकांचा समावेश होतो आणि दुसऱ्या गटामध्ये संबंधित वस्तूच्या किमती व्यतिरिक्त अन्य घटक विचारात घेतले जातात. यामध्ये प्रामुख्याने व्यक्तीचे व कुटुंबाचे उत्पन्न, दोन आहे ग्राहकांच्या आवडीनिवडी आणि पर्यायी संपूरक वस्तूच्या किमती यामधील बदल यांची गणना होते. या सर्वांना एकत्रितरित्या किंमत व्यतिरिक्त वा अन्य घटक असेही सोयीस्करपणे संबोधले जाते किंवा म्हटले जाते. किमतीतील बदलामुळे वस्तूच्या मागणीत होणारा बदल मागणीचा विस्तार आणि संकोच या नावाने ओळखला जातो. याउलट अन्य घटकामुळे वस्तूच्या मागणीमध्ये होणारा बदलाला उद्देशून मागणीतील वाढ आणि घट असा शब्दप्रयोग रूढ आहे. पहिला बदल म्हणजेच किमतीतील बदलामुळे मागणीत होणारा बदल एकाच मागणी वक्रावरील हालचालीने व्यक्त केला जातो. दुसरा बदल मात्र मूळ मागणी वक्राच्या स्थानांतरानेच दर्शविणे शक्य असते. किंमत आणि उत्पन्न यांच्या मागणीवर होणाऱ्या परिणामांच्या अभ्यासातून मागणीच्या सिद्धांताची अधिक शास्त्रशुद्ध आणि काटेकोर मांडणी करणं सुलभ झालं आहे. मागणीच्या सिद्धांतामध्ये दोन दृष्टिकोन आधारभूत असल्याचे मांडण्यात आले आहे. यापैकी पहिल्या दृष्टिकोनानुसार उपयोगिता या संकल्पनेच्या आधारे मागणीचे विश्लेषण करण्यात आले आहे आणि दुसरा दृष्टिकोन हा तटस्थ वक्र या भूमितीय पद्धतीचा अवलंब करून मागणीच्या सिद्धांताची अधिक सुस्पष्टरित्या मांडणी करण्यात उपयुक्त ठरलेला आहे. अर्थात या दोनही दृष्टिकोनांच्या काही मर्यादा आहेत. उपभोक्त्याचे संतोषाधिक्य ही एक महत्वपूर्ण संकल्पना या घटकाच्या अखेरीस आपल्याला समजावून घ्यावयाचे आहे. मागणीतील बदलापासून प्रारंभ करू. मागणीतील बदल, चेंजेस इन अ डिमांड. आता elasticity of a demand concept. Elasticity means the ability of a commodity to expand the contract. Rubber is elastic. If stretched, it is expanded, and if relaxed, it is contracted. In the same manner, on the quantity demanded, if price rises and contracts, and if price falls, expands, and the changes in demand also occurrence due to changes in income and change in the price of a substitute complementary goods, and the change in the demand is known as the response of a demand to change in a price. We can also consider the change in the demand as a response to change in the incomes and substitute complementary goods and the measurement of a consumer response. In terms of a quantity demanded due to the three causes, such as the price of a good, income, change in a price of a substitute complementary goods is useful to supply study and to the economic behavior of a consumer, and such a measurement is a meaningful if these changes are expressed in the present percentage and instead of measuring in it in absolute statistical term. And the concept of elasticity of demand is based on these thoughts. It can be explained and by the example, suppose the quantity demanded of a kerosene reduced by 5,000 liter of the price rises by 10% the original demand is 5 lakh liter, then the quantity demanded is reduced by I percent, 1% only even after 10% rise in its price. On the contrary, if the quantity demanded of a precious cooker falls from 50,000 and to 40,000, and then the price is increased by 10%. It means a 20% reduction in demand, and through the price changes is the same of two different goods, and the response to the changes in terms of the quality quantity demanded is also different. Here we have a taken into considerations are not only changes in price and quantity demanded, but the ratio or percentage of these changes. On the basis of above discussions, we can define elasticity of a demand as follows. Elasticity of a demand is a ratio and which on one side expresses and relations between percentage change in the demand and one on the other side the percentage change in the price of a commodity, income level of a consumer, and prices of a substitute oblique complementary goods. 2.2 types of elasticity of a demand. After studying the elasticity of a demand, we have come to know that the response to quantity demanded in the context of a changes and in a price of a commodity, income level uh, of a persons and or a household, and a prices substitute or complementary goods can be expressed elasticity of a demand can classified in this group. And price elasticity of a demand, second thing is the income elasticity of a demand, and third one and cross elasticity of a demand. Let us now discuss it in a more details. If the change price elasticity of demand, if the change in the quality demanded for a commodity is a complementary less than the change in the price, the demand is known as less elastic of a demand. On the contrary, if the change in the quantity demanded for a commodity is a comparatively and greater than the change in the price, and the demand is known as more elasticity demand. And we can classify goods of a daily uses in two groups. The demand, we can classify goods of a daily uses in two groups. The demand for essential goods such as the food, grain, clothes, medicine, salt, kerosene, etc. is less elastic wearers and demanded for luxurious items. I have still unsettled and furnitures, television sets, fans, refrigerators, etc. is more elasticity. And however, these inferiors are a general and common. Price elasticity of demand must be considered in the context of a price and a demand of a respective commodity. And let us now turn to other types of price elasticity, and if the change in a quantity demanded for a commodity is exactly and the same to the change in a price. The price elasticity of demand will be one. This is called until elasticity of a demand. And for example, if the price of a milk is increased for rupees 10 or 11 per liter, the monthly quantity demanded for milk reduced unto 9,000 liter from 10,000 liters, and the changes in the price and quantity demanded is 10%, which means the price elasticity of a demand first. Price of milk per liter 10, demand of a milk per liter month 10,000, and percentage in price and change in a demand and relative price elasticity demand 10%, 11 and 9,000 and 10% and 10% and 10%. It is impossible that there will be not any change in the quantity demanded, or the quantity demanded remains unstable or inelastic as the response and to change in the price of a commodity, whatever may be the change. It occurs in the quantity demanded as the response to change in the price. Suppose this happens, and then the price elasticity of the demand and will be zero. The quantity demanded will be inelastic. For example, see the following table. 2.3 method of measuring elasticity of demand. We have understood the types of elasticity, and now we shall consider the methods of measuring elasticity of demand. And these methods are chiefly concerned with the price elasticity of demand ratio method. The easier methods to measure price and elasticity of a demand is the ratio method, and the following equation is used for a measuring price and elasticity of a demand. Income elasticity of a demand is less than 1. See the next table. And generally the demand for durable consumer goods and changes according to change in income, and income elasticity of demand is one television set, refrigerator, furniture, and vehicles are the goods and which have limited income elasticity. If the change in quantity demanded for salt and postcard does not change due to the change in income, the response of a quantity demanded and to change in income is a zero. So the income elasticity of a demand is zero if the If the quantity demanded and changes to great extent due to changes in income, the income elasticity of a commodity is infinite. It is important only from the point of view of a theoretical concept. Now, let us turn to sign of income elasticity and is the quantity demanded and the income changes in the same directions. The income elasticity of demand is positive plus and but the inferior goods are the exceptions to this law. The quantity demanded falls even and though the income rises and food grain like a natsni is a inferior good. In Western countries, black bread and migraine substitute to butter are regarded as inferior goods. If the income of the consumer rises and the demand for a natsni and reduce and the consumer use and more jawar and wheat. Eagle German statistician put forward a theory explaining on the relation between demand for goods and income of a consumer household. In the 19th century, this relation is expressed and through Eagle cure the quantity demanded for X goods and show the different income elasticity. किंमत व उत्पन्न यांतील बदलांची मागणीवरील परिणाम. किंमत आणि उत्पन्न यामधील बदल कुटुंबाच्या वर्तनावर प्रभाव पाडणारे महत्त्वाचे घटक मानावे लागतात. मागणीमध्ये फेरबदल घडवून आणण्याचं कार्य हे घटक करीत असतात आणि वस्तूच्या बाजारातील मागणी वक्रामध्ये अनेक वैयक्तिक ग्राहकांचे उपभोग विषयक निर्णय प्रतिबिंबित होत असल्याने त्यांच्यावर किंमत आणि उत्पन्न बदलांचे कोणते परिणाम होतात याची छाननी उपयुक्त ठरते. निरपेक्ष किमती आणि सापेक्ष तौलनिक किमती यातील भेद प्रथम समजावून घेणे आवश्यक आहे. निरपेक्ष किमती म्हणजे पैशाच्या परिमाणात व्यक्त केल्या जाणाऱ्या वस्तूंच्या किमती असे म्हणता येईल. एका वस्तूची दुसऱ्या वस्तूमध्ये सांगितली जाणारी किंमत ही मात्र सापेक्ष किंमत ठरेल. तौलनिक किमती दोन वस्तूंच्या किमतीचे परस्पर गुणोत्तर व्यक्त करतात. आपण जसे मानू की कुटुंबाचे पैशातील मासिक उत्पन्न ₹600 असून ते त्याची विभागणी गहू आणि कापड यांच्यावरच करणार आहे. कापडाची एककाची किंमत ₹2 आणि गव्हाची एककाची किंमत ₹1 आहे असेही मानू. कुटुंबाने आपले सर्व उत्पन्न कापडासाठी वापरण्याचं ठरवलं तर त्याला कापडाचे 300 नग मिळतील आणि गव्हाचे 0 नग मिळतील. त्याचप्रमाणे सर्व उत्पन्न गव्हावर खर्च केले ठरवल्यास गव्हाचे 600 नग मिळतील आणि कापडाचे 0 नग मिळतील. आकृती 1.2 मध्ये 300 कापड व 0 गहू आणि 0 कापड व 600 गहू हे दोन्ही समूह अनुक्रमे अ आणि ब बिंदू व्यक्त करतात. त्यांना जोडणारी रेषा किंमत रेषा बजेट लाईन म्हणून ओळखली जाईल. या रेषेवर कोणताही बिंदू कापड आणि गहू यांचा असा समूह
हॅलो मॅडम, आवाज येत नाही.
ब्रेक होतोय. आवाज येतोय?
नाही मॅडम, आवाज येत नाही.
काय आता इथे काहीतरी नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लेम आहे. येतोय का आवाज बाळा?
कमी कमी जास्त होते मॅडम.
हो ना, तिथं प्रॉब्लेमच आहे. बराच वेळ ट्राय केला त्यांनी पण काही होत नाही. अरे
ठीक आहे मॅम.
अभ्यास करताय का तुम्ही छानपणे? बुक वाचताय का?
हो मॅम.
लँग्वेज समजते का थोडीफार का नाही?
लँग्वेज समजते पूर्णपणे, पण काय होते आवाज कमी जास्त होत त्यामुळे जरा तकलीफ होते.
नेटवर्कचा प्रॉब्लेम आहे. एकदा मी मॅडमशी बोलते.
हा ठीक आहे, चालेल, कंटिन्यू.
अभ्यास करायचा छान. ऑल द बेस्ट. ओके.
थँक्यू मॅम. कंटिन्यू.
Let's conclude the lecture now. Hello.
येस मॅम.
Yeah, conclude the lecture. Okay. Bye.
येस मॅम. बाय.
Yes, yes.